Hi, welcome back to Tig's Creations, a channel where I've been showing you projects that I've been doing with live edge charcuterie boards and some epoxy inlay. As some of you may know, the inlay that I've been doing has mainly been just single color inlay, but I was recently watching a YouTube video by Sean Peters and Mark Lindsay, where they went through and described really Shane's process for doing multicolor inlay with epoxy, and I was just blown away, and I thought, well, you know, I've wanted to do this for a long time, so let's give it a try. The first thing I wanted to do was try and decide what I wanted to make that I might actually keep, rather than just designing something rather simple with the end result of probably just throwing it away. So, being an avid Leeds United supporter, I decided to try and recreate the Leeds United crest. So the first part of the process was to import the image of the logo into the Vectric software and gradually build up the individual component vectors until I had a good representation of the Leeds United logo. These were done in component parts, which would then allow me to make pathway files for the individual components. As you can see here, the first cut was to just cut out the whole shield, which I decided to do in a yellow, and then add in the various cut components sequentially as it went through, and fill in with epoxy as I did. So as you see here, I've cut out the shape of the shield and filled it with yellow epoxy. I've then gone in and done the second cut, which is to hold the white epoxy resin, which is going to be the centerpiece of the shield. For this I'm using a Mixol alcohol-based dye and Total Boat epoxy resin. The reason I'm using Mixol is that it gives a much deeper colour than mica when you use it. For these types of fills, where the fill is only just over 1/8 of an inch deep, the colour with mica is a bit too translucent, but as you see here with the Mixol, it's really good. At the end you just go back in with the torch and get rid of the excess bubbles and leave it overnight. Next day come back in again and start your cutting for the next step. I use G-Sender software as the program to control the output of the G-code into my CNC machine. The nice thing about this is that you can see here on the right, that's the image that I'm wanting to cut out, and on the left the G-Sender program actually shows you how far along the process you are. So it means you don't actually have to be able to see where the bit is at any given point in the cut. I should mention that here I used an 1/8 inch end mill to clear out the bulk of the epoxy, and a 30-degree engraving bit to do the fine detail, such as the lettering and the detail in the Yorkshire rose. Next I used a surfacing bit to remove the excess epoxy and engrave the football in the centre of the rose. After a bit of sanding and some fine polishing, this is what I finally ended up with, and although it's not identical to the Leeds logo because some of the detail was difficult for me to do, I hope you agree that it's a pretty nice result for a first attempt at a multicolour epoxy inlay. If you have any questions about any of the processes here, please let me know below in the comments. Please like and subscribe. So there you go. That's how I went about making a multicolour epoxy inlay of the Leeds United logo. My team from back home in England, but just to prove that it wasn't a fluke, I actually made up another badge of the Atlanta United logo, which is here on my shirt, and it worked out pretty well. So it seems to me that if you follow along with these very simple steps, then you can pretty much make a logo for any team that you happen to support using multicolour epoxy inlays. As I said in the intro, much of the credit for me being able to do this came from watching videos from Shane Peters and Mark Lindsay, who can be found on YouTube at their respective channels. But I hope that this adds to the mix a little bit and just goes to prove the point that if an idiot like me can produce something that I think is actually pretty fair first attempt, that you guys can do it as well. I've obviously left out quite a bit of detail in doing this because I just wanted to show you the process and see if there was any interest from people in knowing more. If you have questions, just add them to the comment below and I'll respond as soon as I see any come through. If not, either way, please like and subscribe. The subscribe button is over here somewhere, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.